Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler Sinden. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses, and our goal is to share our experiences and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Strap in. Tyler, what's going on, man? Episode 3, we're here.
Yes, we are, and it's going pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Postponed this podcast about 15 minutes because I had to eat my nuggets, but we're here. We're filming.
I thought you were having a little chicken nugget competition, eating a whole bunch of them because it was taking way too long to eat nuggets. I'm like, what's going on, man?
I did laugh when you texted me, what do you have, 100 nuggets? And I looked, I was like, I don't think so. But yeah, what have you been up to? Anything new?
Not too much. Yeah, we actually do have something. We got a email that we've been waiting for. They were a little bit busy, and they said, we'll get back to you in September. And honestly, I was thinking about it last week, and then this week it kind of dropped out of my mind. And then got the email, surprised me a little bit. And I don't know if you're still at that stage, but whenever you get that email where it's like, let's get this rolling, or let's do something.
Oh, every
you get
time.
a little nervous. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I was like, oh man, gotta strap on the pants and get going.
I don't know if it's nerves as much as like excitement that someone's paying me. Yeah. That's more of it for me. That I'm like, all right, let's go. We close the deal. I wonder if there'll always be that rush of closing the deal. I assume.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that they say a lot in books, where it's like, don't tell yourself that you're nervous. It's excitement, because your body stimulates the same way, where when you get nervous versus when you get excited. So instead of saying that you're nervous, say that you're excited. And a little off topic here. I was doing a presentation once, and like we were introducing ourselves in class, and then everyone went through, and then I was the third person to go. And then I took this from my roommate, and I go, "Hi, I'm nervous," and I think that made me more nervous. Because I was like, "Oh,
no, that's actually something I do." Like when I don't do it as much now because I don't get as nervous now. But when I would do video shoots when I was starting, I would always be like super nervous, like loading up my van or something, and then I just tell myself, "I'm like, God, and I would verbalize that. I'd say, God, I'm so excited for this job. This is gonna be so fun," and then it actually kind of helps. But now I just go into it just thinking, yeah, let's just shoot it. It's more exciting to close the deal than actually go to shoot it, I think.
Yeah, for sure. That's the struggle.
One other thing is I had an epiphany today. We were filming the other podcast, the Mind Up Business podcast, and we had 2 guests, and then I was the person that was helping me with the cameras and everything. We were having a conversation, and he was talking about a couple of people that he knows that want to start a podcast, and he thought about using the set we already have. And he's like, hey, maybe we could use that one and then just pay you to produce the episodes, like to come in and film them, to come in and edit them. And I was thinking, if you charge, let's say $150 or $200 an episode or something, and they have to commit to a certain number of episodes, let's say you have to commit to 10 episodes, because my selling point is I saw a stat that was 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 5. And of the 10% that do, 90% of them don't get to episode 20. So you use that statistic as like hey, you have to sign on for this many episodes, right? So let's say they sign up for 10. That's $2,000. Let's say you get 5 people that want to start a podcast. Yeah. Boom, $10,000. So I'm like, okay, how do I monetize? Like, how do I actually get this ball rolling? So that's kind of what's been on my brain for the last couple hours since he left. But I mean, I think there could be a window in that market. I don't know.
I feel like that would be really cool. I feel like you might need new sets for everything, because you don't want the exact same set for everything. So I don't know if like you're renting out space and then you just like set it up, or maybe like, I don't know what it would be, but I feel like you would probably want different sets. Yeah.
And that's the main thing. That's I don't want every person that's filming a podcast in the same set. But then it got me thinking, okay, if you create, and we talked about this before with my rebrand, is if you create a subsidiary under your holding company, and let's just say it's Podcasts Inc., generic name, right? Let's say it's that, and then you have a building that's got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rooms. Each one of them is their own podcast set, and then everyone gets their own set, and then they just pay you whatever, $200, $300 an episode. And then you could upsell them into, okay, $150 for just using the set. You have your own team, whatever. Or $200 and we'll edit, just give you the long form. Or $300 and we'll give you 7 clips to post once a day. Or, $400 and we'll manage it for you or something like that. You know what I mean? Those are small numbers, and I'd have to flesh out the numbers. But dude, if you have And you could even give them a discount at the beginning where it's like, hey, we'll charge you $100 an episode instead of $150 if you start it. Because I feel like once people start doing something like this, they're going to want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I
really like this idea.
Yeah, me too. And I think Alex Hormozy, I was listening to a podcast last night, and he was talking about you have to show them, show them that something works early. And even if you have to sell the farm to do that, once you show them it works, then you can charge on the back end because they won't want to leave. And I'm like, there might be something here.
How would you show it that it works? Like, I know starting a podcast and starting out is tough.
Yeah.
And like the views, they don't come in very easily. They take time. Like, how are you going to show them that?
I don't know how I'd do that, but he said I can't remember what his example was, but it was something like he was running paid ads. So if you use a different paid ad solution, it was actually weight loss. He's like, if you can show them they can lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, then they'll be like, oh my gosh, this really works. But then you come back to him and say, okay, well, let's do this for a year and we'll lose 20 pounds, but we'll do it the right way. So I don't know how you translate that into a podcast, how you can show them that it works, but maybe the first 5 episodes of their podcast, you put some ad spend behind it, something like that. Mm-hmm. So everything for the first 5 episodes, everything they pay you to produce it, you just spend on ads so you can push the content there. But yeah, something it's very in the infancy stages, but that was kind of the business idea where it's like, shit, maybe I should try this.
I like it. You got to do that. I feel like that's got a lot of potential.
Yeah. Well, we're going to try. We're going to see how it goes, and we'll probably bring it up on this show again as we move forward with it. But I think we can hop right into our episode. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
So this week we're going to be talking about content. We weren't sure what we were going to talk about this week, but me and Tyler were discussing earlier and just having a text conversation. And I was like, let's just talk about content. And then we're going to do communication after that.
Yeah, because there was a little bit of a miscommunication going on during that. And it got brought up on the last podcast episode. So, communication's huge.
I think we have to start doing only voice memos when we text each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot more efficient that way too.
Yeah, because then it's like, oh, that's what he meant. Instead of I'm the worst texter ever. I'll send like three words and be like, this looks good, or yes, that way. And then it's like, what way? But you know what?
Yeah,
it's the world we live in. So talk about some content. I mean, just to begin with content, we both know that it's important to a business, and maybe we can dive into the purpose of content for businesses, and you can touch more maybe on the retail side. And that end of things, I'll touch more about the service-based side. But I think, and this is what I push my clients, is that content, like, you have to be making as much as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. And just because there's so many different avenues to make it down. So many different avenues to go. So like you have on our notes here, educational, entertaining, emotional. There's just so many different avenues. And I don't think clients realize how much content they need to actually be making.
Yeah, I think there is. I've always preached this and I always believe in this, but it's quality over quantity. If you can do the quantity at the same time, keeping the quality up, I 100% agree and do that. But if your quality starts to decrease, that's when I don't think that you should, keep pumping it out. But at the same time, you never know what's going to hit, like especially with TikTok, Instagram. I know we're struggling a little bit with TikTok right now. We have no idea what's going on there, but TikTok doesn't feel like pushing it. So you never really know what's actually going to hit.
Yeah, and that's where it's like, that's something I preach to my clients is a lot of times I obviously want to get retainer deals with my video company to make ongoing content for them. It's a little bit harder to sell because it is more expensive. But if you drive home the fact that, okay, you never know which piece of content is going to get you the next opportunity, the next lead, the next job, whatever it might be. That's something I didn't really realize until I started producing a bunch of my own content. It's that people see the most random things ever.
Yeah.
And that might get you to, might land you a job. It might land you this new connection.
Yeah. I think... So the book I just read, it was really good and talked about being remarkable. And it kind of contradicts your point that you made where just make as much content as possible. Mm-hmm. But if you make one piece of content and that just blows up, and then you start trying to follow it up with mediocre to less than mediocre content, it just starts dwindling down. Whereas if you don't make that other content after and you just have that one, people see that one and they connect with it. And then maybe it's just taken some time to be able to come up with another good, remarkable piece of content that comes out after that one.
And that's something where I should preface this with, when I say make as much content as possible, there's no client that I have that is doing that. So I do that to exaggerate, to make as much as possible. And by as much as possible, I mean you need to be posting a couple times a week, I think.
Yeah.
But like ideally, in an ideal world, you're posting a few times a day on each platform, but there's just no one that I'm working with right now that's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say something, but I completely forgot about it.
Yeah. Hey, that's how podcasts go. Sometimes we just lose our thoughts. But as far as the different avenues, so I want to go into what we have under the content here. Have you found that, I mean, you work with clients on your day-to-day job basis. Have you find that a lot of clients are doing their content a certain way? Like majority of them are trying to drive leads. A majority of them are doing it for brand awareness. A majority of them are trying to do this other thing. Have you seen that at all?
Yeah. So we do all the content planning strategy for them. We might get some input and help from them, but pretty much we do all the content. And basically they come to us because they want to increase leads. They want to increase revenue. That's what business is about. Yeah. They want more money. So that's basically our goal, is to get them more qualified leads, get them more traffic to their site, build their brand awareness. And basically it's a whole funnel where it's just constantly going around. The more people that see you, the more people that know you, the more people that trust you, and then it leads to more leads. So
I saw this thing on TikTok, or maybe it was TikTok. I can't remember, but or maybe it was actually the podcast, with Elizabeth that we were talking about, but being just existing on a platform, or maybe it was that plus another thing I heard earlier, but existing on a platform, you pretty much just need to make content. And it doesn't have to be award-winning films that you're posting, but it has to be, good enough where people aren't like, this is the most amateur business ever, right? And a lot of it is, I might go on a little bit of a rant here, but I don't think people realize that it takes the whole arsenal of content to do those different goals. So it takes the whole arsenal of content to drive more leads and to build a following and to gain brand awareness. You can't just make one piece of content and then be like, okay, now I have 500 more followers. You might, but you really got to strike virality with that one piece of content, I think.
For sure. And then at the same time, like if you strike it with that one piece of content, they might not like what you like. Yeah. Because like that one video that goes viral, like I had a video that went viral. I'm not sure how many followers I gained from it, but it was just me shaving my head bald. Yeah. And it's like, how many people are going to like what my actual content is? So that actually reminded me of what I wanted to say earlier. And it's like creating content just so that people know that you exist, you're active. And it was from Elizabeth. And she was just saying like, just keeping up with social media, and just so if people stroll onto your social media, they're like, oh, this is inactive, or they don't have content or whatever. So yeah, that's what I wanted to throw in there.
And this might be it was either from episode 1 or 2 that we talked about this, but you have to set yourself up for success. So when one of those pieces of content does go viral or semi-viral or whatever you call it, maybe not 4 million views, but it gets 50,000. You want to have the content on the back end where people go to your page or your website or whatever it might be, and there's more content for them to consume. So then they can make the decision of, oh, I want to follow this person. I do this a lot on TikTok when I see, which is, I'm not a good dancer, but I'll see a guy and he'll post top 5 easy, simple dance moves for weddings or something like that, right? And I'll watch it, and then I'll go to his page, and if he has 50 videos where he's showing easy dance moves, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll follow this guy. So then next time I go to a wedding, I don't look like a dork. But there's a lot of times where I'll see a piece of content that's like viral or semi-viral, and then I'll go to the page and I'll see more of that content I like, and then follow that page if it's in the same niche, all their videos. But there's also times where I see a video and then I go to their page and it's like, okay, your videos are all over the place, so I don't follow. Yeah. So I think that's one thing that people I think should realize, is that even though you have one piece of content go viral, you need to set your back end up for people to actually want to stay and keep consuming your content throughout, you know, the future of your page or channel or website or whatever it might be.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you got to just set your goals and figure out what your purpose of this content is, because like there's so many different forms of content. And I feel like just understanding what your goal and purpose is with that piece of content is just going to help you out. Because like, say you're posting on TikTok and your main goal is to just generate brand awareness, and you say, why am I not getting leads? You know, you got to figure out like what your direction is. So just so you have a clear set.
That's something I wish more people knew, is that, okay, I can come in and make a video for you, but it might not directly, if I make one video, it might not directly lead to your goal. Where if I say, okay, here's a campaign, here's 15 videos, and here's a funnel that you can take your audience down, that's going to be, well, in theory, it's supposed to work better than just one video.
Yeah, definitely. So it's just figuring out what your purpose is. And I feel like there's a few different ones, and you could drive leads, drive brand awareness, build a following.
And setting realistic goals. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah. And majority of what I do is like, have you ever read the book Jab, Jab, Right Hook by Gary Vee? So he's obviously a polarizing character, but the whole premise of the book is to not ask for a sale every piece of content you push. And that maybe goes into, you know, the types of social content like we have here: education, entertainment, and emotional. But Jab, Jab, Right Hook basically talks about you need to provide value with a bunch of your different posts. And then when you do go for your hook, for your one piece of content that sells, that's when you actually get more of a buy-in, because not every single piece of content's like, hey, buy my stuff, buy my book, buy my course, buy this service from me. Do you believe in that theory?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you know, you hate seeing just people that are constantly selling. And it's like, why am I even going to follow you if you're just constantly selling? You're not providing any value. And that's pretty much the premise behind the book, is provide value, provide as much. And that's the kind of world that we're starting to go towards, where it's just like, provide as much value as possible and don't ask for anything in return. And then pretty much like with Alex Hormozy, he pretty much just tries to provide as much value as possible, and then people know who he is. So when they get to that certain stage, they know what he does, and if they get to that certain stage, they're like, I'm going to go to him because he's been there, he's helped me out this whole time, and now I want him to help me out even more. So it's value. The
best part about creating content and not asking for a sale or not asking for a call to action is that if you're good enough at providing value, the people that want to pay you and that want to, you know, pay you for your services or whatever it might be, they'll find you. They'll find a way to do it. Like if I'm just providing content on, okay, here's the best ways to shoot a video, here's the best 5 tips. If that person wants to come pay me to do a video project, it's not hard to find. So a lot of the times, if you're good enough, you don't even have to sell yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about TikTok too much, but I'm not, and this is kind of getting like cultural, but did you see any of the like Lumberland? Have you heard of Lumberland?
I don't think so, no.
So it's like this business, and there's like this whole thing that just happened recently where like all the social people got, I don't know if it was fired or what happened, but they pretty much released everything, or released all those guys, and like they started making their own TikToks, and they're like, I don't want to get into depth of what's happening. But what I noticed is on a lot of these people's posts, like the guys that got fired, the people commenting would say, I don't even know what they sell. Like Lumberland, because Lumberland's a business, and everyone was following the business. They're like, I don't even know what they sell. It's because like all they would really do is walk around the office, interview the people, and that's pretty much it. They had a huge following, but then everyone's saying, I don't know what they sell. They're not the people that make like the small bats, are they? Maybe. I'm not sure. They're like a sports company.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I do know who it is, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, you almost don't want to go to the extreme. It's like where people's like, I have no idea what this company is. I just like their funny TikToks they produce or whatever it might be.
Yeah. So it's like that jab, jab, right hook. It's like every now and then sprinkle in like what you actually do, maybe like a call to action, something that actually sells your service, or so people know what it is. Because if you do actually end up generating that following, say with TikTok, your goal is to just build a following, build brand awareness. You want to make sure that people actually know what you're selling or what you can offer other people. Lumberland's
going to write a book that's just jab, 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 jab.
Probably.
There's no right hook ever. So let's maybe dive into some of the social media platforms. There are so many. And the first question I have for you is that, do you think it's necessary as a business to be on every single one of them?
Not necessary. I think depending on your time, and like if you have the time, put in as much effort as you can. But I would say try and pick like the highest converting ones that you, or the highest impactful ones that you think will have the best ROI. Like you were talking with Elizabeth, Facebook's her best one because there's so many people that are using that. And for that specific service, like that age range, like a lot of older people are using Facebook. And so it just depends on which one you have and how much time that you have to dedicate to these platforms, because creating content takes some time. It's not a walk in the park.
One piece of advice I'll maybe give to the people that are creating content for businesses, you don't necessarily have to be gung-ho on every single platform posting a bunch, but in the beginning, maybe start on all of them and see if any of them pop off. Because after a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, you'll start to realize, okay, a majority of my eyeballs are on Instagram, or a majority of my eyeballs are on Facebook. And we did that with 3 Dudes, is that we are not even posting a ton on Twitter and Facebook anymore because we realized Instagram and TikTok were getting a lot more eyeballs there and a lot more views. So we're still very mildly active on the other platforms, but noticing where a majority of the eyeballs are is super beneficial for, you know, kind of any business or anything in general. I mean, you do that with your own content for your own personal pages. I'm on Twitter a lot more because I can talk to people on there, whereas Instagram, I kind of just scroll, so I don't go on that as much. Have you found that to be the same way, or no?
No, I agree with you there. And I think it's just focusing your effort, because I think like if you do have that time at the start, post on all of them, see what pops off. And if 1 or 2 do end up popping off, I'd say probably pursue that. But at the same time, like with TikTok, you might not get your specific audience on there. And like it might just build a following. If you are able to deliver a product to, say, people that are outside of your state or country, then maybe you can pursue that. But if you're a very local company that can only service where you're currently at, I just don't know how beneficial it is, because like say for you, you basically need to be there in person, unless you start branching out into like say product video, where companies can send you products, or maybe you can just like go out and do it on your own and you don't have to actually be there or be in their corporate or, you know, with them. I think that that's a big factor. So it's just focusing on your effort on what works. And if you have the time at the start, try and do as many as you can.
Oh, 100%. And I think a lot of it is testing and trying and failing. Like that's what we were talking about with this podcast, about trying new things on different platforms. A majority of people in the beginning, I think, start posting content and they're upset if something doesn't work, or it didn't go how their preconceived idea in their head was going to go. But you have these ideas of how things you think they're going to go, and then you start doing them, and nothing's ever goes exactly according to plan. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think you can pivot and learn from that and start creating the content that actually does work.
I can't tell you how many videos I've made. I'm like, this is going viral, and it's like flop. And then it's like you post something, you're like, I'm just posting to post, and then that goes viral. It's like, what the hell? And
that's even like my YouTube channel. A couple years ago, I posted a camera rig for the Canon EOS R, and it was just like the ultimate camera build. And I filmed it, and I hated how the set looked because it was in my garage. There was a black blanket hung up on the garage door, so it was a black background, and it was on like an old wooden table. And I kind of half-assed the production where I could have taken a little bit more time to do it. And that's my most viewed video on YouTube. I think it's at like 20 or 21,000 views. So it's weird, something like that. I just had to give a subtle flex. But it's weird that you don't know what content is actually, even if you think a piece of content is going to be awesome, the audience decides what's going to actually work.
Yeah, that's true. You can't really choose what goes viral and what doesn't, what the audience likes and what the audience doesn't like. And that's just like part of the testing phase. It's seeing what they do like, what they don't like, and then going from there.
I think that's the most fun part about creating content, though.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it sucks, but other times you're like, okay, let's see if this one works. And then you hit publish and it either flops or it doesn't. It's kind of like betting black and red on roulette.
It flexes the creative juices a little bit to try and come up with something different, something new, and see if that works. And at the same time, you know, for me, I personally like doing that stuff where it's like coming up with something new or trying something new. It's just like, you know, different environment type of thing.
Oh, for sure. And especially when you get too comfortable in the current situation you're in, whether that be creating content or anything business wise, when you start to get comfortable, that's when you stop growing. So just go out there, try to create a different piece of content, a new piece of content. It might work. Maybe if you've never tried blogs before, try a blog. Maybe if you, I remember I used to write blogs on Medium. Did you ever have the app Medium?
I've actually never used it. I've heard of it though. And then I was like, I saw someone, he's like, I got my own blog on here. I'm like, what's this? And then apparently it's just people go on there and make their own blog. Yeah.
You have a blog on there. You write an article. You just like kind of search for people. And it's pretty much like every other social platform, except it's only like articles that people write. And I wrote probably 3, 4, 5. And then I was like, this isn't for me. I don't like writing, but at least I tried it. You never know what you're going to fall in love with.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a good thing to touch on is just, you know, you might not like it. And sometimes you might have to do it at the start or it's just figuring out what you do like and what you don't like. So like creating content, you might not like it, but if you're by yourself, you're going to have to do it, or you can maybe hire it out if you have the funds for it,
which is not generally cheap. I want to talk about up and coming platforms, because me and you kind of went through this with Clubhouse. And I didn't really realize this until I was halfway through. Well, not halfway through, but like a couple years into running my business, is that when a new platform comes about, a lot of people will sit and decide whether or not it's worth it or not. I have now learned that it is worth it to immediately get on that platform as soon as possible. Try it. Try to get ahead of the curve. If it doesn't work, you're not out anything. Like even Clubhouse, me and you were kind of big on Clubhouse. We're like, okay, how are we going to figure out Clubhouse? What do we do with Clubhouse? And then I haven't heard of Clubhouse in over a year, probably. And we're not out anything there. But if Clubhouse did pop off, at least we were kind of ahead of the curve in the early segment of people that were on it. Would you agree that and even I remember when TikTok came out, like if I had actually known to start creating content, I think I was on TikTok like a year and a half before it was even popular, just watching stupid videos while I was in Canada. If I had been creating content, I might be a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, I think it depends on the platform, because like you said, Clubhouse, no one's heard of it anymore. Like I think they took a while to integrate the stuff that they needed, and the stuff that they needed was to have that content stay there, because like live podcasting, like if you miss it, you miss it. You can't go back and listen to it. So it's basically like the radio. So it's like, and pretty much it just seemed like everyone on there was just trying to grow and build a following. So I wouldn't say every platform. I think you got to weigh it out. You got to see what it is, what it's about, and if you can actually integrate it within your business.
But I think seeing and waiting it out personally is by testing it yourself too. Because we could have sat and just listened to other people talk about Clubhouse, but we tried it and found out quickly that, okay, this isn't really anything crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can test it for sure. Maybe ask other people what they think of it. But I think at the end of the day, like if you like go and look at it, like, do you think what it was about would really take off? Like live podcasting, you know, like TikTok, you could maybe see. Like it's tough to predict the next one, because there's probably like for every TikTok, there's probably like 1,000 other ones that tried to do the exact same thing. They just weren't as good. So it's like tough to find that next big one. And like them pivoting from Musical.ly to TikTok, I think that was huge. Yeah. And I like if they didn't do that, they might not be TikTok. Like they might not be anywhere close to it, and it would have just been the next Vine.
That's true. I'm in favor of, you know, obviously this can go both ways, but I'm in favor of if you see an app and there's starting to be a little bit of a buzz around it, at least download it and try it out, see what it's all about. So you're at least familiar with the app. I'm not saying you have to start loading up on content, but give it that little grace period to see, okay, could you see this being a thing, and kind of judge for yourself.
So what do you think of Be Real then?
Right now, I don't see any way that businesses can really dive in there, but I'm on there every single day, and I'm starting to see there's a little bit more interaction. There's more people commenting words instead of just like reacting with a photo. So that's interesting. But other than that, there's not a ton of features that, like, there's no features at all. It's pretty much, hey, that day you get your 15 whatever posts, and you can either react to it or comment on it. Those are like the only features.
Are you seeing people on it that are trying to build a following or get famous? Or is it just...
I don't know how you would. Like,
okay,
unless you know that person's handle, you have to add them. So it's almost like Facebook before Facebook was big, where it was mainly just like friends. Because right now, I have not seen any profiles of people that I don't know. Like, I don't know if Justin Bieber has a Be Real, if Kanye West has a Be Real, Elon Musk. I haven't seen that. Plus, to be their friend, they have to add you back. So I can't just follow someone to see what they're posting. It has to be like a mutual back and forth.
Well, that's the same thing with Facebook. Unless you have like a page that people can follow, you still have to add them, and then they have to add you back. But I think unless you're on private, people can't see your page. So... And I could, similar to Facebook, it seems like.
And I could see Be Real if they added a feature where posts stay up for however long, and there was a page type thing where if Bennett Creative Media had a page on Be Real, you could go see, okay, what are they working on today? And it's a picture of the set and a selfie of the production assistant director. And then the next day, it's a picture of the editor, and there's people in-house working. So that kind of thing. But right now, I don't see how that would work because it's pretty much gone every single day.
So Be Real is kind of like stories.
Yes. Oh. So it's just it's a photo. Like every single day, I'll take my phone, I'll take a picture of you, and it'll take a picture of me, and it's there until the next day when it gives you another notification to take a picture, and then it's gone. And you can see your own. Like, I can go back into my own calendar and click on August 15th and see what I posted. But
the archives.
Yeah, but I can't go to someone else's page and say, oh, what were they doing on July 12th? Could be good for alibis if you're like in a court case.
Do you think they'll add a feature like Instagram has with story highlights?
I don't know what they're going to add, honestly. It's so early. Like, hasn't been one update to the app since I got it. So
how long have you had it?
Maybe a month and a half, 2 months.
Okay.
So like, I haven't seen them add any new features. Actually, I lied. They just did a couple days ago. But the only thing they added was, instead of having to make a face every time to react to someone's photo, they have like 5 presets that you can just click it and it's a reaction. So right now I have one of me sitting in the car, and it's like this, and that's the thumbs up preset. And then there's another one that's like a laughing face. I don't have it saved, but you can save 5 presets to make the reactions quicker. But I don't see that making a huge dent in the, business side of the app.
Okay. So maybe if you just want to get it on your personal account, just to get acquainted in there, that might be the route for Be Real.
Yeah. And even just see, what it is. And if people start talking about it a little bit more, which I don't see a ton of people talking about it, then you'll kind of know, okay, maybe this is something that I should look into.
Yeah, I was filming a wedding and I didn't realize it at the time. And so the first time I saw it was someone posted on their Instagram story the photo that it takes. So like the selfie and like the going out. And I thought it was just like a camera, because I know cameras do that now, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So that's what I thought it was. And then when I was filming the wedding, the girl's like, oh, I just got my notification for Be Real. And I had no idea what it was. And then like a couple days later, we started talking about it on the podcast. So and then I saw another person post his picture to Instagram stories. So it's like there's that crossover. So I can see Instagram for sure adding this in like they do with everything else.
And that's where I actually saw a TikTok trend, and it's kind of trending a little bit now. And so maybe this is getting a little bit more buzz than I originally thought, but people are going up to strangers. So if they're on vacation or something, let's say you're in Barcelona and they get their Be Real notification, they'll have that person take the picture of them. So them and their friend will back up, they'll take the picture, and then the person taking the picture will unknowingly also get a picture of themselves taken. So then it's like a surprise shoot, and people are posting that on TikTok. So I don't know how much that really matters in the grand scheme of businesses taking over the app, but yeah, I could see Instagram definitely adding a feature like this.
For sure. As they do with everything else. So
that's all they ever do.
Social media platform that you recommend for businesses to use or go on?
I think it really depends on the demographic that you're trying to hit. I still think a lot of people are not on Facebook anymore, but I think Facebook is literally still like an awesome platform because the people that have money and that are old school and they want to pay for your services are on Facebook. Yeah. If you're going, if you're more of and that's obviously me because I'm a service-based business, but if you have a retail business, maybe you're selling bars of soap, TikTok and Instagram might be for you because that's online orders. You can get a bigger audience there. Whereas Facebook, I don't know how much you're going to get on Facebook, but I think Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are still the holy grail trifecta right now that you should focus most of your efforts on. And then, kind of go from there. But I think it really depends on the demo you're trying to hit. The younger demo is going to be on TikTok mostly, Instagram a little bit, and then the older demo is going to be on Facebook. But there's the older demos on Instagram too.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any tips for if you're posting on these platforms to maybe reach a wider audience, generate more leads, whatever it may be? Do you have any tips for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it may be?
Well, Instagram, definitely Reels. So post Reels right now because photos I don't think are getting pushed at all. I even saw a TikTok or Instagram Reel today before we started recording, and the audio was Instagram isn't pushing photos anymore, so here's a Reel with just a photo. And it was just a photo with that noise over it, and it had like 30,000 likes. So
I hate seeing that. I always scroll past those.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see that because photographers now have to find a different way to post on Instagram because it's not pushing photos as much. So I'd say if you're on Instagram, definitely create as many reels as you can. TikTok, definitely figure out how to use trending sounds and get in that niche. And also, I see there's a couple different ways TikToks are kind of blowing up. One is educational. If you can find your niche and teach one specific thing and be consistent with that, I think you can really blow up. I see a lot of people.
Consistency is key.
Consistency is the number one key in creating content. I will say that.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're on TikTok and you're creating, let's say, I see one guy and he teaches about Facebook ads. So he pretty much does whiteboard drawings of, okay, here's how I'd target a hair salon. And then he gives an example. And every single day he gives an example of something like this. And he's blown up over the past couple months. So TikTok's good for trending sounds and finding a specific niche. And then Facebook is kind of, targeting more of your local area of the demo you're trying to hit. And then obviously Facebook ads are still super powerful, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll go a little bit more, I don't really know what to call it, but different kind of tips so with platforms like Google, they count interactions as helpful for SEO. So say you're on a blog and there's different, we'll do table of contents. And then when people click a table of contents, there's an anchor, it brings them to the bottom. Google sees that they're like, oh, they're interacting with this. That makes it more, they want to push that more because Google thinks that it's doing better. So with that being said, say with Instagram, if you have a caption and there's a read more button, hitting that read more button, it pops up. Instagram says, oh, there's an interaction here. Trying to get, and with Reels, you said Reels is the most important. Every video on Instagram is getting posted as a Reel now. So it doesn't really matter. So it's even if it's a horizontal video, it's a Reel now. They just converted everything. So watch time is extremely important. You want to try and Instagram doesn't give you in-depth analytics as far as I'm aware of how long people are watching. So you want to make sure people are watching as long as possible. I'd say likes are important, but I think it's more so sharing. People say commenting, but I honestly don't think commenting's that big for Instagram.
I don't think so either. I think the likes really push it, because when I have a
Yeah.
reel pop off, I get spam notifications of people liking it, and nobody's commenting, but the amount of likes is pushing it to more eyeballs.
Yeah. So I think it's the likes and the view time. So you want to make sure that you have really good that, and especially with TikTok as well, you want to have good likes and not so much likes, but watch time is extremely important on TikTok
and rewatches.
And then basically every metric. I saw a video to rank all of TikTok's, like how you want the metrics, but basically watch time is extremely important. You want people commenting on it, and it's not just like random comments like laughing emoji. You want like meaningful type comments. And I think TikTok, I don't know how, but you'll see a lot of people in the comments, they'll go behind like a certain theme and they'll just like continue that. And it just like gets pushed to those people that continue that theme. So I'd say watch time is extremely important with TikTok, and commenting, and then getting shares. There's also the save feature added to favorites. Is it favorites? It's
favorites now. Yep. Save to favorites, I think.
Yeah. So I think shares, watch time, and comments are extremely important for TikTok.
Yeah, and that's
I don't know
really,
if we want to dive into any others, but
I mean, yeah, and that's obviously the stuff you think about when you think what metrics matter. It's going to be those ones, but really, how do you optimize for that? How do you get that with your content? And at the end of the day, it's just creating a valuable piece of content. And one thing that maybe you can lead with, and this, what I've started to do with my content, is come up with a hook. Start with a hook. How are you going to get people past that first 2 to 3 second window? Because I personally think, I don't know the stats on this, but I think that's the most important, because when I'm scrolling, if I'm not sold in 2 seconds, I'm scrolling to the next video. So how can you stop them from their scrolling with a hook in the first 2 to 3 seconds? Because if you hit them with a hook, they're more willing to watch the 15 to 30 seconds you have after that.
It's extremely similar with copywriting. And I was telling you the other day, everything that in the copy is trying to get you to read that first sentence. And that first sentence is, the goal is to get you to read the second sentence. So the first sentence has to have that hook that keeps you there, and then gets you to the next sentence, gets you to the next sentence. And it just starts building momentum. And once you get to say like 5-10 seconds, they're going down and they have that momentum. They're going down that slippery slide, as they said in the book. And you just want to keep them there and try and keep them as entertained, educational, emotional, whatever it may be. And you just want to get that hook within that first 2 to 3 seconds. Because as you said, that's when people will leave.
Yeah. And I think, we can sit here and spitball back and forth all these different ways to get people to do stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're creating good content, people are going to watch it and it's going to work. So, that would be the one thing I'd say focus on, is create a piece of content that people want to watch, and put yourself in their shoes. So think before you post something or decide to make something, which would be better than making it and then thinking afterwards. Think before you make something. If I was someone to run into this piece of content on the internet, would I want to watch it? If the answer is no, or the answer is then maybe rework how you make that piece of content.
Yeah, I like that. Makes sense. Seems simple, but people tend to not think about it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, let's just make content.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this is a good idea, let's pop it. Well, think in your head, is someone going to want to watch this? Even though I think it's cool, is someone actually going to care? Are they going to think it's funny? Are they going to get value from it educationally? Is it going to make them emotional? Those are kind of all the ones that you want to look for.
But at the same time, you never know what's going to truly pop off.
Oh, exactly. And yeah, and don't overanalyze it. Like, I mean, it's a two-way street. Like, think about it, but don't think too in depth where it's like, oh, it's not good enough. If it's there, if you're like, someone might want to watch it, then post it. Then it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What other content topics we got to talk about here?
So obviously with your website, you want to make sure that you have really good content on your website if you're trying to generate leads, because all the social media that we just talked about, that might be generating brand awareness and building a following. But what you're trying to do is get them to your website, get them to convert. And you want to make sure that you have that content there on the website that answers their questions, does whatever it needs to do to get them to convert and get that lead.
Yeah, it's kind of a full service. You kind of have to look at your business as everything under one umbrella. You have your Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, website. All of that has to be cohesive enough to, okay, are people going to engage in my website? The content needs to be good there. If someone runs, and it's almost, you have to think about, what is someone going to run into first? If they run into that first, is that going to be able to give them the vibe of, hey, this business is still a business. It's still, you know, they're still doing things. 2, do I know what they're doing? And 3, are they providing enough value for me to follow or for me to go further into it? Those are kind of the 3 that I think about. Because if someone comes to my website, 1, do you know what I do? Right away, is it video? Do you know I do video production services? Hopefully with the website I have, the answer is yes. 2, are their services good enough for me to reach out to them? I'd like to hope yes. I wish I had more leads, but I don't know. And then 3, what is their most recent, whatever it might be? Are my videos recent, or do I only have video projects from 6 years ago? So that's kind of the metric I look at. I try to keep things updated as much as possible, make sure people know that I'm still operating a business, make sure it's valuable, and kind of go from there.
Personal question. Do people actually know how recent your videos are?
You could,
or do they have to dive like deep?
You could figure it out. I mean, they're all YouTube links. So like being a video production company, it's all like just client videos we've shot. So when you click on it, it's just a YouTube embedded link. So, I mean, you can see when it was posted. But I mean, I don't have a caption like under it that says created in 2022 or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fairly easy to find.
Yeah. So I think a few pieces of content that we do with clients that are extremely valuable are blogs and emails. I don't know if you do that in your business at all.
I don't do blogs or emails. The reason I don't do emails is because, one, I don't know. Well, I haven't really thought about it a ton, but one, as a service-based business, I don't know how. I mean, I kind of know how I do emails, but I don't really know how. Creating an email list for people that want video services is a little difficult, because if they want them, they're just going to send me an email. We're going to do it. No one's ever really on the fence and then says like, oh, I wonder what their email list is. And now that's maybe more of a, on my end. But that's where maybe it's more of a personal brand, like on my YouTube page where people sign up for an email list and then I can send them educational content to video stuff. But right now, all the emails I have are clients I've worked with or potential clients. So, I mean, the email list is there, but I haven't done any sending out of any emails.
Okay. Because I just know that blogging, it's a good way to show that you are active and that you post new stuff. And B, it's a great way to drive traffic to your website, drive leads. So that's why I ask.
No, yeah. And I 100% agree. I just haven't put much effort towards it for my specific business. But I mean, the answer for every piece of content is do it if you can. It's just, where do you want to put your effort? Like, I mean, if I had a team of 15 people, I would 100% have blogs about, okay, here's the best 5 tips for video production. You know what I mean? Or best
Fiverr.
Could do Fiverr, but that costs money too. But you could do, like here's the best 5 angles to shoot B-roll or something like that. So there's definitely options to create blogging content and to create an email list. But like you said, it's kind of just focusing on where that energy should go. What's giving you the best ROI?
Yeah. I'll talk to you after. I have a few ideas for you for your business that you could potentially implement that could hopefully help you out. So
sweet.
We'll talk a little bit after.
We'll set up a meeting after this podcast.
If you aren't too busy.
Yeah, no, I should be able to squeeze it in.
I know it's Christmas right now, so
yeah, it's getting there. It's getting close.
No, when I say Christmas, I mean it's football season.
Oh yeah. Hey, it feels like Christmas.
Yeah, that's what football season is.
Content other than what we've talked about. I mean, I think we've kind of covered it all, unless there's anything else you got to add.
I wouldn't say we covered it all, but I feel like we covered a good portion.
We scratched the surface.
Probably. I think there's a lot of stuff out there that you can do. I feel like we covered a good amount. I think it's just figuring out what your purpose, your goal is of each content and where you're posting, where you're on, what you're doing, just so you can measure those analytics and, just drive more value in, direction with those content pieces.
Yeah. And that's where, if you're a business listening to this right now and you're not creating content, just start creating content, because a lot of people I talk to think, oh, I don't need to create any content. Like, it doesn't work for my business, or I don't need it for and I'm like, it works for every business. You can teach something, you can explain something, you can make content around so much that you don't really understand until you sit down and think, okay, what would my potential client or what would my audience want to see?
Yeah, I was trying to think of how our businesses would generate leads or conversions without creating content, but it's just word of mouth. If you have like extremely good word of mouth, like I feel like there are some unicorns out there where it's like, yeah, I don't create any content. It's literally just based off of word of mouth. There are some people out there that are able to do that, but at the same time, I think if you were creating content, you might be able to, get more leads, maybe charge more for your products, because your services are going to be like out there more, and you're going to have more people coming in. So
yeah,
I guess it's about the business and personal wants.
Yeah. And there's definitely businesses out there that don't need to create content and they're making money, but you could be making more. Like, content's only going to help you unless you do it wrong and you burn through a bunch of money. But, if you take some time to learn about creating content, as Lil Dicky said, I think he said, you don't know if it could be working even better. That's what he said. So
I love it.
Yeah. So, just create some content.
I forget what the book is. Have you heard of Big Giants? Small Giants? I don't know.
I've heard of the book, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's basically just these companies that choose to stay small and be great. So maybe that's why there are those people that don't want to create content, because they're small, they have an outstanding service, and they don't want to ruin that integrity or of the business.
Yeah. So I read a book, Company of One, and it was about keeping your business very lean, small as you can. It's like, hey, I'm good with living off this. I don't want to grow my business anymore, whether it be one person or like a small team. But yeah, Company One, decent book. Not great book. I wouldn't recommend it. So like, if someone's like, what's your best business book? I wouldn't say that. But like, if you ran into it, if someone gifted it to you, you could read it.
If you went through all the hundreds of books and you were looking for something else.
If you're on a plane and like the only thing they got's that, like, yeah, I'd read it. It's good enough for that. So
there you go.
All right. Well, that is episode 3 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. If you found value in this content or found this entertaining, share this with a friend, post it on your story. If you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating and a review on wherever you're listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.